guess, John, where do you guys kind of go from here with Art? Obviously, really struggled on Saturday, and it seemed like there were guys open when he was making some of those throws or picked off.
Yeah, I think, you know, I don't know. I think just keep emphasizing what we have. That really, you know, he doesn't have to go win the games for us, but he can't lose them. You know, and that's kind of what ends up happening when you, you know, hand the ball to the other team. I mean, that's the only way a game like that gets out of hand and/or is lost, is you hand them points and field position and lose possessions and, you know, go right through the list. So I don't know if it was a little bit feeling like, hey, I have to do something to spark us or to help us win, help us, you know, make some kind of hellacious play. I think the plays, like you said, I think they were there to be had, and I'm not saying, hey, they were great calls. none of them are, but I thought there was a little bit of a press to kind of just, I got to do something, which, yeah, I thought he had his best week of practice. You know, I'd said that to Chris every day. You know, I thought offensively we had one of our best weeks. You know, and I thought looking back at the game, you know, the run game, the pass protection, you know, some things in the game that were positive, that were good enough to win. But you're going to win any games turning the ball over like that. And you know, the guys played less than 3 college games. You know, when you look at it, he played half a high school season last year at IMG. If you go, you know, you split time and all that. So I think it's just being in those spots, and unfortunately, it's under fire. You know, in games, try to recreate it as much as we can in practice. But you know, you guys are out there. We don't see, you know, 10 turnovers in a practice either. So, you know, at some point I think it will click that, you know, we can punt and we'll be okay. You know, eventually those plays will come, or we'll get to that read or whatever it is. But until he does it, you know, I'm not saying he has never done it. He's worked through progressions. He's gotten balls to guys. He's done it. But obviously, you know, like I said, I thought it was a little bit of a, hey, I got to, and I actually had said it to him, you don't have to win the game. You know, this is before the season, before every game, but you can't lose it. And, you know, when you throw the ball to the other team and they score, that's how you lose the game.
After a game like that, how strong is your conviction as the OC, as someone who deals with Art every day, how strong is your conviction that he can still be the guy?
Well, I mean, again, you guys, he is obviously has the ability to play the position, and he's really young. I mean, there's no other way around true game experience, guys coming at you, the consequences of a mistake, and how quickly that changes the game and the fortunes of your team, and everybody's looking at you when you come off the field, because it's not like, I mean, there's no one else to look at. You threw it. So, you know, all those things are obviously things he has to go through. I don't think there's any question that he can play the position. I don't have any question about that. You know, we just have to continue to make sure he's comfortable with everything, try to give him every look we could possibly give him in practice. But, you know, at some point you can only run so many plays in practice, too. And you're relying on cumulative reps through camp and you know, what we've done the first 3 weeks of the season. But ultimately, he's standing there with the ball. So we can talk about it, but it needs to happen. In terms of taking care of the football, it needs to happen, obviously, immediately.
Is there anything that you've seen that is common in all the interceptions this week and others? And is there anything different that he's doing in a game that he's not doing in practice? I
thought he just got stuck, you know, Saturday. You know, some of them were, you know, obviously the first one was well, I don't know which ones were good. It just seemed like he just got stuck. I mean, you know, in anything they did with that scheme, the backs were always going to be available on any pass. He got stuck at all. But you know, there's certain rules in terms of reading. Some, you know, one of those in terms of what the coverage is, where you go backside right away. We never got off the front side. To me, it looked like we just picked a guy and threw it, to be honest. Or got stuck on a guy and figured, I'm going to find a way to throw it to him. And never got away from it, regardless of what the other team was doing. That's the way it kind of looked. So I hadn't seen that a whole lot in practice. Even a couple of things that we didn't throw, that we threw to, you know, other guys and gave them a chance, and there's guys running free other guys in the pattern of probably easier throws for bigger yards. You know, we made most of those reads and throws too. So, you know, again, I don't, you know, there was not a lot of pressure in the game, so, you know, maybe it was too long to think about it. I don't know, but you know, again, obviously you have to do a better job coaching him, and we got to give him more things that he's comfortable with, but we just got to keep repping things. But like I said, you know, you got 3 days practice, and now roll it out there again, and here we go against a good football team.
How do you kind of bring Art along, you know, dealing with him because he's a true freshman, and are you tough on him at certain times, harder? I mean, what's kind of your approach having him deal with all this?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's pretty hard on himself. You know, I think he was pretty as down as I've ever seen anybody after the game, disappointed in himself, probably embarrassed his teammates, the whole thing. And so, you know, there's no real reason to pile on. Those are pretty obvious. You know, when he makes some mistakes, you know, you miss a check or you don't get off a read, whatever, and you can get on a guy pretty hard. I think I've been on him pretty hard the whole time he's been here, because you know that these times are coming. I mean, that's part of the reason, especially with as young as we are, I've been hard on all these guys, because it's a lot better, in my opinion, to be harder on them out there and put them under a lot of pressure every day in practice, because when you do it in front of everybody, if it goes like it went, now you're dealing with this. You know what I mean? Now you're getting piled on by everybody. So we try to almost exaggerate the consequences of things when they happen in practice to let them understand. If they happen in a game, you know, that's a major problem. You know, but you know, the bunch of interceptions really haven't happened a whole lot in practice. But so I think I've been pretty hard on him a lot, and on all these young guys, to let them know the urgency of and the thought of, hey, if you do that in a game, it's a big deal. Just so you know, you're going to get killed in the press. You're going to get killed. Your family's going to read this stuff like that. Those are all things that happen if you do what you just did in practice. So that's kind of the message I had given those guys early, that if you think I'm like a lunatic out there, here's why. You know, you're better off to do it here and be under pressure here than on TV and in front of everybody. And so, but after a performance like that, I mean, there's no reason to, the pile on is not necessary. I mean, some of them are just obvious. It's like when a guy drops the ball. It's like, you know, you can tell him to catch the ball, but that's pretty obvious. When you throw it to the other team, you really don't need to inform them that that wasn't the right move. You know what I mean? So I think when everybody is piled on them to this point, you know, I need to pick them up. So kind of play it by the circumstance, I guess.
John, we could probably talk about Art the rest of the press conference, but other playmakers, wide receivers, I mean, do they need to step up too?
Yeah, I think, you know, obviously Shameen had a couple opportunities that you'd like to see him come down with. You know, Bo hasn't been really cited much lately. I thought Jerome was the one guy that played really well, and they couldn't handle him. You know, I told Art, like, just find 88, and there's a handful of plays in there. The last interception, the guy's wide open on the back. I mean, that's where it was supposed to go. You know, sometimes you have to kind of, I think he's getting a feel a little bit for the guys in the game too. Not that, you know, changes your reads, but some of the calls are kind of made with that in mind. And, you know, maybe they give you something else, you think, oh, go over here, and here comes 88. I thought they had trouble dealing with him. And I thought he played his best game, you know, since I've been here anyway. And he continues to kind of keep getting better. But we got to, you know, we have to see some more guys and give them opportunities. You know, I think, you know, Travis, you know, we have to look at what our personnel packages are. Travis is a guy who made a lot of plays in the spring. I think Davon Robinson is a guy that's a really good young player that can catch the football. Obviously, you saw him in the first game, you know. But, you know, I think we'll have to, you know, try to give some of those guys, you know, some more opportunities, you know, in the games.
Along those same lines, we talked about how the receivers, they're kind of all the same height. Jordan, Lacewell, do you need to get one of those guys on the field just to have them run vertically and kind of stretch things?
Well, Jalen was out there for a couple of plays Saturday, and I think we got to get him, you know, involved. You know, and it doesn't mean, I think at first we start kind of get his feet wet, get him out there playing football. And, but he was out there. You know, we threw one deep to Shameen, and Jalen was right there. Yeah, I think you know, he's an exceptionally big guy that can run, and he's been here since January, you know, kind of had a chance to be around the system a little bit. So he's a guy I'd like to see. You know, we're going to try to play him a little bit more. You know, Lacewell hasn't had as much run with the offense, so to speak, because he, you know, not having been here in January. But I mean, he's definitely looks the part. I mean, Paul Woods is a guy that made a ton of plays at training camp and then unfortunately been injured the last, you know, handful of weeks. So I'm not sure he wouldn't be in the mix either. You know, it was strange. Like, I think Paul and Jalen had probably the better camps. Zaire was a little bit up and down. I think he was injured a little bit early on, and then, you know what I mean? So it wasn't as smooth progression for him as it was. You know, Paul seemed to make a bunch of plays, just had more opportunities, I guess. But yeah, I think we're open to, and I know those guys want to play. So, you know, the whole red shirt thing and the 4-game thing or whatever, I don't think they care either way. I think they just want to play. So I think you might see some more of those guys.
Any other questions?
And, I mean, you mentioned the run game earlier. Was that an issue early on, though? You guys really didn't run the ball those first 2 series, and it seemed like maybe Art was that kind of dug himself a hole at that point.
Well, I'm trying to think how they went through a couple of those. It was like run, screen, run, or screen, run,
Yeah.
screen. I guess the first couple of series, and we were like 3 and out, you know. And then, I mean, I thought, you know, the run game was really what bailed us out in the game, you know. But I mean, at some point the score is a little prohibitive. But you know, especially our, you know, we had that one drive that was really, I think we threw 1, maybe 2 passes. I think we took the one in the red zone. I think we had a 3rd down conversion. It was like an 80-some yard drive, but I think a 3rd down conversion and 1 throw in the end zone. The rest of it was all runs. So, but then all of a sudden it went back to whatever it was, 17 or 20, whatever the deficit was. So, but I think even to the end we were running the ball until the last maybe series or so. But it just gets a little prohibitive. I'm sitting there looking at it around the -20, run it, you know, and you're hitting a lot of 3rd downs, and then, you know, at some point in the drive trying to advance the ball a little bit, even though Raheem and John seem to be hitting some pretty good runs, 10 to 12 yards at a clip. We're just trying to, you know, you're looking at the clock and the deficit and thinking, we got to get it something here. So that probably knocked the numbers down a little bit. I mean, I went down there thinking we'd run it 40 to 50 times, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I thought that was going to be, it was a hot day. I thought we could, you know, handle them. Not handle them. I mean, 96 was a really good player, 88 was a good player, but I thought we would have more success and there'd be a little more mix. But then things just kind of spiral, you know, quickly, and then you try to, you know, take the heat off them with a little bit more runs. But, you know, the score is what it is. So at some point, you got to still try to think you're going to stay in the game.
Last question.
Pacheco, we get it all the time. Can you see him getting a little bit more?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think, you know, just, and again, that became a little bit part of the game when you get in the second half and you're thinking there's going to be a little more pass just based on the score, and then you're into the protections, and they had some, you know, uniquely, they really didn't blitz, but they had guys overhang guys and some different looks that potentially, if they did, you didn't want to, you know, have something, you know, go wrong there. But so, you know, I thought that after the game, he should have probably should have got him in there some more. You know, I don't think those other 2 guys will make it through 9 games just being the exclusive runners. So, you know, we've already talked about that this week. I'd like to see him play a little bit more. I guess it's such a weird game. You get in the second half and you're looking up at the scores and you're trying to think, well, what do we want to go to next? And you pull in the quarterback. Like that kind of became, not I wouldn't say an afterthought, but I think at some point in the game I thought we probably should have got him in there a little earlier.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks,
Okay. Thanks, guys.